This is a recruitment video for the Russian army. But it isn't sending men to Ukraine. It's sending them to Africa. While the West has been focused on Russian aggression in Europe, Vladimir Putin has been expanding his influence across another continent. In early 2025, a blogger filmed these military trucks in Mali. They were making their way along a highway to Mali's capital, Bamako. Army trucks are not unusual in Mali, but a closer look at the footage reveals that some of these vehicles were Russian. Russia's recent military involvement in Africa began in 2017. At that time, it was conducted primarily through a secretive military company, the Wagner Group, which the Kremlin claimed it had nothing to do with. This mercenary group protected dictators and taught their armies how to crush rebels in exchange for lucrative mining contracts. By the time Wagner arrived in Mali in 2021, it was already operating in at least 4 other African countries. There had been a military coup in Mali. Its new leader had kicked out French and UN troops and invited Wagner to replace them. In 2022, hundreds of Malian civilians were massacred. A UN report claimed many were killed by Russian mercenaries. And then, just 3 years later, Telegram channels linked to Wagner announced the group was withdrawing from Mali. But this was misleading. In fact, Russia's influence over Mali is strengthening. And this time, the Kremlin is openly calling the shots. After Wagner's boss attempted a coup in 2023 and then died in a plane crash, the group was merged into a new outfit, the Africa Corps, a paramilitary force controlled by Putin's Ministry of Defense. It now operates in 5 African countries and is recruiting more troops. If there's a ceasefire in Ukraine, the Kremlin sees Africa as the best destination to send its soldiers, because bringing them back to Russia could be too dangerous for the regime. For Putin, the aim is to build an anti-Western coalition. Diplomats from military regimes in Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger recently visited Moscow.
Но сегодняшняя встреча имеет особое значение. Она впервые проходит в 4-стороннем формате.
They discussed the launch of a new Russia-Sahel States alliance which will focus on security ties. Putin hopes to persuade more countries to side with him on the world stage rather than the West. And in Africa, his plan seems to be working. Most African governments have refused to condemn his invasion of Ukraine. For some, his offer of protection with no questions about human rights seems to be irresistible.